Hello everybody, it's Vertical Sandwich. Welcome back to Book Reviews, and today this is another Vertical Sandwich Guilty Pleasure. I'm going to try to get you to read Kurt Vonnegut. So this is Kurt Vonnegut's Hocus Pocus. I bought this copy of Hocus Pocus for a penny. It was a penny plus shipping, and I bought it because I was buying a bunch of Vonnegut books when I was getting really into Vonnegut. This was years and years and years ago. We can read the back of this and stuff if we want. It just says a bunch of good things about it. Like, that's it. But on the front it says, "A triumph. It is perhaps his best. Joseph Heller, author of Catch-22." And let me tell you, so we're not going to review Catch-22 anytime soon because I don't own a copy of Catch-22. But Catch-22 is a book that is so good, it will give you a nosebleed. That's how good Catch-22 is. If you have not read Catch-22, you should read Catch-22. Catch-22 is a masterpiece. It is an absolute masterpiece. It's so good. So, Hocus Pocus, if I remember correctly, because when we get to Vonnegut books like this, I don't read them every 6 months or something. I've read this one 2 or 3 times. And what it's about a guy who is a veteran of the Vietnam War. He apparently was quite a killing machine in Vietnam, and now he teaches history at a private college, or he did. He ends up getting fired because he is also quite the ladies' man, and he's writing this book as an afterword, and he's in a library, and he's tearing the pages out of the blank pages out of fronts and backs of books and writing on those, because he doesn't want to deface the actual books in the library because he has respect for literature. And so the entire novel has these artificial placeholders. Can you see that there, the line? Like, it's on the other side. This line here. Let me see if I can find a page that has kind of more. Oh yeah, like, so this page has far more obvious kind of lines, and those are to represent the way the pages were divided, and he's writing the story of how he ended up where he ended up. And there's one thing that's obsessing him, or that he's obsessing about, which is he's trying to figure out whether or not he's slept with more women or killed more people. Like, which number is higher, the number of people that he has killed or the number of women that he's slept with. And it's a very crass and kind of, like, I don't know how to say what I want to say. It's very blunt. It's a very blunt way to kind of talk about the kind of most important relationships you could possibly have with another human being. Killing them or sleeping with them, like having a romantic relationship with them. Probably raising your kids is in there too. And he talks a lot about that as well. So, but here's the thing, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. And the reason I've been thinking about this a lot is because I've been really immersed in Terry Pratchett. In fact, we're going to have to do more Discworld books because I'm on like book 14, and it's all I'm reading right now is Terry Pratchett's Discworld stuff, and it's super good. So I'm going to run out of non-Pratchett stuff to review if I don't review some Pratchett stuff. That's my conundrum. That's the Catch-22. No, that's not how Catch-22 works. And what I've been thinking about is that one of the things that Vonnegut and Pratchett, but let's just talk about Vonnegut, but they both do it really well, is that they understand that, like, good comedy comes with, like, seriousness and tragedy. That, if things are successful, if everybody has a happy ending, then, you might have laughed, but it's not as touching as kind of, that if you can deeply move people with comedy as well as with tragedy. And in fact, in a lot of ways, I would argue that the two things are combined in a way that is, impossible to separate. And Romeo and Juliet has an entire scene where their friend is dying, and because he's such a prankster, everybody thinks he's kidding around. And I hate Romeo and Juliet for other reasons, yeah, and there's, and I'll make the same argument for good horror as well. Is that, like, a great horror movie will get you to laugh at least once. And a masterpiece will make you laugh every time somebody's not dying. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm looking at you. And yes, I laugh like the devil when I watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it's hilarious when people aren't dying. It's phenomenally funny. Yeah, and Vonnegut and Pratchett get that, right? That they're like, oh, I'm writing this book and it's really funny, but like, let's just take a moment to like make everybody just stop what they're doing and think about what just happened for a minute, and then we'll move on. And I mean, Vonnegut's a master of that. Like Vonnegut, that's his whole game. His whole game is to point out to you that there's a tragedy in how ridiculous our lives are and our cultures. And Pratchett does a different game, but and again, I said I was going to talk about Vonnegut. But Hocus Pocus is great that way, like where it's trying to frame a lot of themes that are inherently Vonnegut. Like Vonnegut was a POW during World War II, so being in a war is a big theme for him. Being a veteran is a huge theme for him. And then hereditary insanity is a huge deal for him. It features in Breakfast with Champions. It features in this. I'm sure features in other books of his that I can't quite think about. I'm sure it has to feature in Time Quake. It has to. So, and then like things like the criminal justice system or racism and kind of the oppression. I mean, like Vonnegut is a liberal thinker, is the way that we would characterize it right at this moment in American text. You go, oh my God, that guy's so left wing. And in fact, he probably is not. That like really what's going on is that Vonnegut was I don't know how to. There's something beautiful about Vonnegut's humanitarian, like everything about him is that when you read a Vonnegut novel, and let's just jump into this one, and then I'll kind of talk about this at the end of the video, and we can kind of recap. So my mother-in-law. This guy, by the way, he's writing a story, and his mother-in-law lives with him, and she's gone crazy. My mother-in-law, no danger to herself or anyone else, adored fishing. I put a worm on her hook for her and pitched it out to a spot that looked promising. She gripped the rod with both hands, sure as always that something miraculous was about to happen. She was right this time. I looked up at the top of the bank, and there was a prison truck with smoke pouring out of its engine compartment. There were only 2 guards on board, and one of them was the driver. They bailed out. They had already radioed the prison for help. They were both white. This was before the Japanese took over Athena as a business proposition, before the road signs all the way from Rochester were in both English and Japanese. It looked as though the truck might catch fire, so the 2 guards unlocked the little door in the back of the steel box and told the prisoners to come out. And they backed off and waited with sawed-off automatic shotguns leveled at the little door. Out the prisoners came. There were only 3 of them, clumsy in leg irons, and their handcuffs were shackled to chains around their waists. 2 were black and 1 was white, or possibly a light Hispanic. This was before the Supreme Court confirmed that it was indeed cruel and inhuman punishment to confine a person in a place where his or her race was greatly outnumbered by another one. The races were still mixed in prisons throughout the country. When I later went to work at Athena, though, there was nothing but people who had been classified as black in there. My mother-in-law did not turn around to see the smoking van and all. She was obsessed by what might happen at any moment at the other end of her fish line. But Margaret and I gawked. For us back then, prisoners were like pornography, common things nice people shouldn't want to see, even though the biggest industry by far in this valley was punishment. When Margaret and I talked about it later, she didn't say it was like pornography. She said it was like seeing animals on their way to the slaughterhouse. We, in turn, must have looked to those convicts like people in paradise. It was a balmy day in the springtime. A sailboat race was going on to the south of us. The college had just been given 30 little sloops by a grateful parent who had cleaned out the biggest savings in a loan bank in California. Our brand new Mercedes sedan was parked on the beach nearby. It cost more than my annual salary at Tarkington. The car was a gift from the mother of a student of mine named Pierre Legrand. His maternal grandfather had been dictator of Haiti and had taken the treasury of that country with him when he was overthrown. That was why Pierre's mother was so rich. He was very unpopular. He tried to win friends by making expensive gifts to them, but that didn't work, so he tried to hang himself from a girder of the water tower on top of Musket Mountain. I happened to be up there in the bushes with the wife of the coach of the tennis team, so I cut him down with my Swiss Army knife. That was how I got the Mercedes. I mean, here's the thing. Vonnegut novels are usually very meandering, and this one is not. This one just kind of punches you over and over and over. The entire book just punches you. And a lot of it is about politics, and a lot of it is about the Vietnam War, and a lot of it is about womanizing and killing people. And as always, Vonnegut has a rhythm that is very easy, and punctuates things in ways that are unexpected. And I don't know. It's hard for me to tell you all the things that I like about Vonnegut. But the thing about it is what's amazing to me about Vonnegut is that Vonnegut will talk to you about something like the prison system or racism, and it's not that you feel that Vonnegut is trying to make you feel that you should be sad about it or that you should be worried about it, but you 1000% know that Vonnegut is sad and worried about it. And I don't, there's just some amazing power in there. He just has this incredible ability. And obviously, the thing about the Japanese taking over and stuff, I know if a lot of you are younger than me, you don't remember the whole idea of kind of the economic power of the Japanese in the 80s, but it was a thing. It was a thing. It was a thing that people were just talking about. People talk about the Chinese like that now. But and this book cost $7.99. This book was written in 1990. This is a very late Vonnegut novel. But it is one of my favorites. And it is reasonably dark and very, but it's very poignant. And Vonnegut does that, right? It's the Vonnegut novels I don't like are the ones where he doesn't bother. But the ones where he bothers, they just, the emotion in Vonnegut novels is so powerful. The kind of and all these things are just these off the wall brilliance, and it's a crazy plot line, but underneath it there's so much kind of bafflement at the structure that causes social injustice that Vonnegut just doesn't Vonnegut gets it. Vonnegut understands how, and he'll tell you how, and then just kind of go but underneath all of that, you just see a guy who's just going why? Why? Why, why is it that somebody has to lose? Right? Why? And especially why these particular people. And, I love Vonnegut for that. I love this book for the structure. The structure of this, that the breaks where imaginary pages, imaginary pieces of paper run out, and then the fact that the character is suffering from tuberculosis, and he's writing cough every time he coughs and stuff, and it creates a narrative pace that's just unlike any other Vonnegut stuff. This is the least detached Vonnegut novel aside from Timequake. I mean, Timequake is that's just his story. But this book, Vonnegut is not a dispassionate observer in here. He just jumps into the main character, and then the main character has this flow and rhythm that it's masterful. It's very well done, and this is in my top 3 Vonnegut novels of all time. My top 3 are Timequake, this, and Breakfast of Champions. Bluebeard is a close one. But, so Hocus Pocus. I want you to read Vonnegut. I want you to read any Vonnegut. Just go get Cat's Cradle. Go get God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater. Go get Mother Night. Go get Bluebeard. Go get Breakfast of Champions. Go get Timequake. If you can find some package deal where somebody has all of his novels and you can buy them all at once, do that. You won't regret it. Maybe you will, but, I won't regret telling you to do it because I love it. I love these books. I read them. I've read every Vonnegut novel in my top 5 I've read multiple times. Every once in a while I pick up a Vonnegut novel. I love them. I love the work of Kurt Vonnegut. So, when we come back, something else. Bye, everybody.